everyone, welcome again to Bake Your Way Kitchen. On today's video I'm going to be showing you how to do a good, delicious chocolate peanut butter cookie. These are out of this world incredible. I just love it every time I make it. So I've got all my ingredients out here and it's so easy to get started. I'm just going to grab a spatula, a large spatula. I already have a small one out, but I've got some softened butter here. Now I only had salted butter with me right now. I would recommend you use unsalted butter and add salt later on. Because I'm adding salted butter, I'm not going to be adding any salt later on. This is 1 cup. So those of you in the States, that would be 2 sticks of butter. That's about 227 grams, half a pound. There we go. And actually, I'm not even going to use a spatula. I'm going to, before adding in the sugars, I'm just going to beat the butter, just get it creamed a bit. And you see I had it softened at room temperature, so it's very easy to do this. And you can see right now it's nice and smooth. That's what we're looking for. Now what we're going to do is add in our sugar. And this is 2 cups of sugar. That's about 420 grams. And you could use a dark brown or a light brown. You could do a mix of white chocolate and white sugar and dark sugar. I find for this recipe, brown sugar, I just prefer an all brown sugar recipe. I just think brown sugar works best for this. And as you're beating this in, you can see it gets quite thick. We're going to go ahead and add in our eggs. You can add it one at a time. You could do this in a stand mixer if you prefer, because it does get a little thick, but when you add in the egg it becomes more runny. Sorry for that noise, I should have put a towel under this bowl. Just move this to the side so you can see better. So you can see, I'll add in the 1 other egg. And I'm not adding any, but you could add some vanilla extract. For this recipe, this is one of the few I don't add vanilla extract, just because, well, I mean, it just doesn't seem necessary. There's already a lot of competing flavors, I find. So, you just want to whip in some air into this butter, sugar, egg mixture. Alright, so the next step is in a separate bowl. I'm just going to put our wet ingredients to the side here. In a separate bowl, I've got 1.5 cups, which is 195 grams of all-purpose flour, with some baking soda, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, and about, depending if you use salted butter, or if you're using a peanut butter that's salty, you'll have to vary it. I would say for a standard peanut butter with low sodium, use about half a teaspoon of salt, because the baking soda, as you know, already has a lot of salt in it. So we're just going to add this in. And I'm also going to add in the cocoa powder. We are using cocoa powder. You could use regular or the Dutch processed, and simply pour that in. You could sift it if yours has a lot of lumps. And just so you know, this is unsweetened cocoa powder. Do not use the hot chocolate mix for this. So we have all our dry ingredients, and what we do is just simply mix these so that all the dry ingredients are incorporated rather than it clumps like baking soda. It would be horrible if you bit into a cookie that had baking soda. I've had that happen. That's why it's good to give it a thorough mix of the dry ingredients in advance. So that's good. Alright, so going back here, this is a nice color that we've got for the cookies. Let's put this to the side. So now we're almost ready to assemble, but before we do anything, we are going to add in other wet ingredients into our wet mixture. I just wanted to get those dry ingredients out of the way. This is a cup, 240 grams of natural peanut butter, and I would recommend greasing the bowl that you use to weigh or measure your peanut butter. That way it's less messy. And using a scale is a lot easier because I find when you're using a measuring cup for measuring peanut butter, it's so messy. So I really would advise against it. Alright, so we're going to start mixing this in. Yum. I love peanut butter in almost anything. Can't go wrong. It's incredible. Alright, so now all we need to do, because our peanut butter is now fully mixed through, we are going to add in our dry ingredients, and as we're doing so, I've got some toasted nuts. Now I'm using a mixture of chopped walnuts and slices of like almond slivers, so this is about 1.5 or about 1.25 cups. You can add up to 2 cups, or you can add more chocolate chips, because I am going to add approximately 3/4 cup of chocolate chips. You could add more chocolate chips in replacement of the nuts, or less chocolate chips and more nuts. So now we just want to mix this in carefully. And you don't want to mix this too much, because when you add dry ingredients, you don't want to be adding any more air, because you don't want it to dry out. So just carefully give this a mix until everything comes together. And you're going to want to line a long sheet of paper, or you're going to line a cookie sheet, because we will be spreading these out immediately into mounds to go into a 350, 180 degrees Celsius oven. So I'm just going to continuously mix this, and I'll show you the next step. So once you've fully mixed the batter, you can see it is thick, but it is a bit on the soft side. So I'm taking a cookie scoop here, because it's less messy and they're more uniform when you do this. And spread these out. You want to give these a good amount of room. Obviously, depending on the size of the cookie will determine the amount you can fit on, but you want to leave a good amount of space. Like for my case right now, I'm probably going to end up just doing 3 rows for a sheet this big. Because I just don't want them to run into each other and cause a mess, which is exactly what would happen if they were too close, obviously. So you just continuously spread these out. You can use 2 spoons or just your hands if you prefer. I just like to do it this way because it's less messy, and then they'll all bake uniform because they're all around the same size. I mean, obviously there's always, because volume is such, using a measuring scoop for anything, like there's going to be a different amount of weight for each one, which means that the cookies are not exactly the same size, and that's why I think that measuring cups for like flour and things like that are ineffective, because you'll always get a different amount, versus if you weigh it, you can't have a different amount of something. If it's that particular weight, it's that weight, regardless of the density. But I mean, when I'm making cookies and stuff like that, I just use this. I don't scale because that takes too long and adds more of a mess, but it's close enough. So I'm going to just continue to do this. Great, so now I've distributed the batter evenly. You can pat them down a little bit, but they will spread on their own, so that's not necessary. So I made about 30 cookies here. So I have a second sheet ready with the parchment paper. I'm going to put these in. I'm assuming it's going to take around 12 minutes. We will see. I'll let you know how long it takes in my oven. I'm going to put these in, and I'll show you what they look like once they're done. So my first batch of cookies is out of the oven, and I've got the other ones in the oven right now. I let them cool for about 5 or 10 minutes. These were in for about 10 or 11 minutes. And I put them on a cooling rack after that 5-minute period to let them cool completely. I'm going to go ahead and give one a try. Let's see. This one looks good. They're still very soft. Ooh. I hope you can see that. I got some almond milk here. This cookie, essential pairing of milk with milk. Like, you can't have this cookie without milk. You just can't. It's perfectly ready. It's got a nice chocolate flavor, and that peanut butter complements this cookie so well. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you do check out bakeyourway.com for the full recipe details. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.